Hello, this is Dr. Ted D'Amico. In the previous videos, I discussed the four theoretical and mathematical underpinnings of the top 10 media and marketing research fallacies. In this video, I will discuss the characteristics of an ideal consumer insight study. In the next three videos, I will review a computer program which automatically generates literally hundreds of consumer insights while at the same time avoiding many of the research fallacies which I have discussed previously. In this video, I will discuss 8 characteristics of an ideal consumer insight study. Most of these characteristics not only apply to an ideal consumer insight study, they also apply to almost any research study one wishes to conduct. Let's review these characteristics one by one. In order to be able to accurately project the results to the population of interest, for example, all adults residing in the United States, the study should be comprised of a representative sample that is projectable to this population. This is by far the most important characteristic of any research study. Additionally, the sample should not disproportionately overrepresent some groups or locations and disproportionately underrepresent others. When this is done, the effective sample size is markedly reduced. As a consequence, the data are often much less reliable. Accordingly, when you analyze the results of any study, you should try to find out its effective sample size. If a study's effective sample size is only 50% of its actual sample size, it means that the sample is, from a statistical vantage point, behaving like a sample half as large. Consequently, the margin of error surrounding any finding is going to be considerably greater than if the study had been conducted using a sample in which all key groups were represented proportional to their representation in the population of interest. Another important characteristic that pertains to all studies is that the study should have built-in checks to help ensure that people are reliably answering the questions. This can be accomplished by sprinkling virtually identical questions throughout the questionnaire and then analyzing the data to see if people answer these questions in a consistent manner. If they did not, they should be eliminated from the study. Failure to do so can compromise the validity and projectability of the findings. The fifth important characteristic is that the sample should be large enough so that when it is analyzed by specific demographic, psychographic, and behavioral segments, the data do not fall apart. All too often during my 30-year career, I have seen analyses conducted and multi-million-dollar decisions made on the basis of very small sample sizes, some as small as 10 or less people. One way to safeguard against this is to request that the sample sizes for all analyses be reported. Better yet, you should request that the effective sample sizes for all analyses be reported. Still, another extremely important characteristic of any study is that it must provide you with appropriate frames of reference for interpreting the results. In the case of analyzing brand data, this means that the study should not only provide you with information about the target brand, but it also should provide you with identical information for all relevant brands in the product category. Two of the most important things that I have learned in conducting research is that a given finding cannot be analyzed in isolation, and that any finding is in part a function of how the study was conducted. In the case of brand research, this means that the findings of any brand must be compared to findings of other brands which were measured in the same study using the same sample and the same question sequence. Another important characteristic is that the study should have a high response rate to help ensure that the people responding to the study are representative of the population of interest. In many studies, especially those conducted over the internet, the response rate are extremely low, sometimes even lower than 1%. When the response rate is low, you have to wonder if the people who participate in the study are in any way representative of the population of interest. A characteristic that is especially important for a consumer insight study is that the study should be broad in scope so that key media and marketing issues regarding targeting, demography, and media placement and brand switching dynamics can be addressed. Although these issues can be addressed using multiple studies, you have to make sure that each study has a representative sample, a high response rate, and does not severely over or underrepresent certain groups. The last characteristic, which I will discuss, focuses on the method of interviewing. Ideally, the sample should be interviewed in person to ensure that the questions regarding the study can be addressed and to ensure that the right person is completing the study. An ideal consumer insight study should be able to answer key media and marketing questions with regard to the target brand. These include what demographic, psychographic, and behavioral measures best predict whether people use the target brand. What measures maximally discriminate between users of the target brand and users of each competing brand? What are the target brand's strengths and weaknesses vis-a-vis each competitor? What are the target brand's top indexing measures in total and by category grouping? What media vehicles most efficiently reach people who use the target brand? What are the target brand's top measures in terms of audience size and incidence index, both in total and by category grouping? On average, how many different brands have target brand users used during a specified time period? How loyal are the target brand's users? How loyal are the users of competing brands? Which brands have the highest share of users? Which brands pose the greatest threat to the target brand in the marketplace? And which brands represent the greatest opportunity for future growth?